Hello, welcome to the channel. Very quickly, the video that you're about to watch was actually a mini class that I made for the Skillshare platform. Unfortunately, Skillshare changed the rules of the game and they took this off their platform early this year. So I've decided to repackage it and put it up there on YouTube for anybody to watch. So enjoy, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in class. In today's class, we're going to learn how to set ourselves on fire using After Effects like this. And also we'll show you how to create aura effects like this. Hello and welcome, my name's Kai and I'm a filmmaker, videographer, photographer, animator and YouTuber. And you can actually go and have a look at my creative work over on YouTube by searching for KaiCreative. Now for this class, we will be using a free plugin for After Effects called Saber, which you can download and install really easily from videocopilot.net. We will cover the basics of how to use the Saber plugin to set yourself on fire and also experiment with different presets. You will need to have After Effects installed on your machine as well as the Saber plugin. As mentioned before, it's free and super easy to install. We'll show you how to do that. There is also a class project, and that is for you to use what you learn to create your own fire and aura videos and then post up your final results in the class projects page. So I'm really excited to jump into this class with you and see how creative you can get with this effect. The first thing that we want to do is we want to download the Saber plugin. And as I said before, this is really easy. We just have to go to a website called videocopilot.net and you can download it there for free on your Mac or on Windows. And we're right here now in videocopilot.net. And I recommend all of you go and check out videocopilot.net for your After Effects, special effects needs and different amazing projects. So the first thing we want to do in videocopilot.net is go to the tutorials tab and scroll down, and tutorial 159 is what we want, the Saber plugin, and we want to click on that. And what we will see here is a breakdown video that you can watch on how to use Saber, primarily used for lightsabers, but here we're going to use it for our fire and aura effects. And if you come over here, you can download it for Windows or for Mac, and I've got a Windows machine, so I will download it for Windows. And what I've got now is an executable file that I can double click on. It'll ask me to make changes. I'll say yes. Next. I want to install it on the latest version of Adobe After Effects, which is 22, which is what I'm using at the moment. And next. And that was it. And then I click finish. And now if I open up After Effects, I can go to my effects and write in Saber, the American spelling of Saber. And here it is, Video Copilot Saber. So now that we've got this successfully installed on our After Effects, the next step is to start using it for our fire and aura effects, which we will show you next. With Saber installed on After Effects, we now want to add it to a project. So let's jump into After Effects and add Saber in. So in order to do this, we want to create a new composition from footage. And what I am going to do is I'm actually going to select the file that I used to create the narration for the intro video. So here we have a comp of a few seconds long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add Saber to this video. Well, in order to add Saber, we first of all need to go to Layer, New, and Solid. And we can select any color we want for our solid. Let's make it red. And we want to have it the same size as our composition with square pixels as is denoted here. And we're just going to call this Saber and hit OK. And this creates a red solid. So what we want to do now is go over to our effects and presets bar, type in Saber. We will see the Video Copilot Saber plugin is there ready. And we can actually drag that onto our solid. And you will see straight away that we have our Saber effect. As I mentioned before, this was primarily created for lightsaber effects, but what we're going to do is use it for our fire and aura effects today. Go over to your effects controls on the left hand side and go to render settings and toggle down this arrow, and you will see something here called composite settings, and you want to change that from black to transparent. And now we can see our footage underneath. What we want to do now is we want to actually create a mask around our subject. And I'm going to come over here to the customize core and I'm going to change the core type from Saber to layer masks. And as you've seen, nothing has actually happened yet. But that's okay, because I'm going to create a mask on the actual solid. But before that, I'm going to drag the current time indicator to the beginning of our composition. And then I'm going to go over here to select the pen tool. Or I can just hit G on the keyboard, and that'll bring up the pen tool. And now, with my Saber solid selected, I'm going to start drawing a mask. And as you can see here, the Saber effect is now following that mask. And if you hold the pen tool down, you can drag out these handlebars that allow you to create curves for your effect. And this is a really cool neon effect that you can create. And I'll just go all the way around my shoulders and arms, as you can see here, and I'll close it off like that. We've now created our Saber effect around our character, and we can change the preset of the Saber effect by going up to preset, select, and to get our fire, I'm going to go to this preset called Firestorm. And as you can see already, we have our fire effect. Now play around with these settings, the glow intensity, the glow spread, the glow bias, and the core size to affect your effect. And that is how we introduce the idea of Saber onto our footage. But you will notice that if we play out the footage, the actual Saber effect doesn't move when I move. So the next thing we need to do is to keyframe the actual movement of the mask in line with my natural movement, and we'll be doing this in the next session. So far, we've been able to add Saber onto our composition and add it to a layer mask on top of our footage. There is a problem. If we play through this footage, as I'm going to do now, you'll notice that while the subject moves, the mask doesn't move with the subject. So how are we going to fix that in our composition? The easiest way to fix this is to keyframe our mask to follow the outline of our subject. In order to do this, we can go to our Saber layer. We can actually turn off the effect, and we can still see the solid. In fact, to make this even easier, we can press T on our keyboard to bring up the opacity and lower the opacity. And now you will see individual points on the mask, and we can select those points and adjust them accordingly. Now, in order to keyframe this, we need to hit M on the layer, the Saber layer, and this will bring up our mask properties, in particular our mask path. Now, if you don't see your mask path, then toggle down here and you'll see mask path here. And what you want to do is hit the stopwatch at the very beginning of the sequence. So bring your current time indicator to the beginning, hit the stopwatch, and it will turn blue, and you'll see a blue keyframe here. We can zoom in. You can see our blue keyframe there. Now, if we move forward in time, so maybe 4 frames, what we can do is adjust our keyframes here. Now hit V on the keyboard to bring up our cursor, select the middle of the masked image, and you'll see these points now turn to circles. And what we can do is we can drag these in around our subject. Then move another 4 frames forward and do the same thing. Adjust your keyframes accordingly to match up with the outline of your subject. And we want to do this for the entire sequence. You might be thinking this is very time consuming, and yes, you would be right. In some instances, it might be easier to select mask path down here, which will then select all of the points and then drag it slightly across. So instead of doing all of these up here individually, you might be able to adjust all of them at the same time and then make micro adjustments as we go around. And then I will continue to do this for the rest of the project. Wow, so that was labor intensive. Now, if I turn my Saber plugin back on and also put the opacity of my layer back up, So if I just let this RAM render and we play this through now, you'll see that the flames, particularly around my body and my head, are following my body and my head. In my original example, I also added extra layers with extra Saber effects, which I keyframed over my hands. And you can see this here where they are over both of my hands. And I also adjusted the opacity of these flames. They come in at an opacity of 0, then they build up to an opacity of 19. And then after that, I gradually build it up to 57%. And then again, I reduce them back down to 0. So it really helps to add more dimensions to your video if you add extra Saber layers to your footage. So now that we are familiar with using the Saber plugin as well as using layer masks, we are going to move on to experimenting with different aura effects, and this is what we will be covering next. So far, we've been able to use Saber to add in a fire effect on top of our character, as well as keyframe the movement. And now we want to experiment a little bit more to see what sci-fi effects we could create. And now in After Effects, I'm here with some very old footage of me dressed up as a character from Dragon Ball Z. Now this is actually green screened footage, as you can see here. And I've removed the green screen and cleaned it up a little bit. What we want to do is add an aura effect on the background of this image. It's only about 5 seconds of footage. So how do we add an aura in? Well, we do it the same way we did with our fire. We go to Layer, New, Solid. We'll call the solid Saber, and we'll keep the aspect ratio the same and square pixels the same, and go OK. We will then write in Saber in our effects and presets panel, take the Saber plugin and place it on top of our solid. We then go to the render settings and we will go to the composite settings and change black to transparent. And then I will go to customize core and change the core type from Saber to layer masks. Then I will select my pen tool by either selecting it here or pressing G, and I will go to work creating a mask around my character. Again, this is a very quick mask. You can take your time to refine your mask on your image. And as we can see here, it's starting to take the shape. The Saber is picking up the shape, and we can see that through the neon line here. Now if we go to our preset and we change that to our firestorm, this was what we originally used for our fire effect, as you can see here. But there are a multitude of different effects that you can choose on the preset selection tool here. And really it's up to you depending on the effect that you want to use. Maybe we want a blue lightning color, and we can do that by going over to the color glow, selecting this box, and then selecting the color of the glow that we want and hitting OK. And this is some color glow. Maybe we want blue electric, but we want to have yellow flames. So we can duplicate this layer by selecting the Saber and pressing Ctrl or Command D. And then going up to our preset, changing that to Firestorm, and then changing the color to maybe a yellow. And now we've got hints of blue electricity with our yellow fire. And to make it more realistic, we can also change the mask of our flame so that it's more pointy at the top of our head here, and you can see elements of the blue electric also working their way down. And we can continually add more effects on top of the Saber effect by pressing Ctrl or Command D, selecting a different preset, so maybe fire in this instance, and then changing the color to something else. So here I have a very blue flame. I can hit T on the keyboard and bring that down. So now it's mixing with the yellow flame and the blue electricity. Maybe it's a little bit too much. Maybe it's too ridiculous. I can turn that off by just hitting this I key here. Also, what I can do is hit S on the keyboard for my Saber layers and increase the size slightly so that the flames are slightly bigger. And maybe with the electricity, I could also increase that slightly so that it's appearing over the top of the flames. Now we start to lose the character a little bit, so I can actually duplicate my layer here, put it on top, and then what I can do is then mask out some of my face. So I can hit the pen tool and then with my layer selected, just mask over different elements of myself that I might want to show, so that we don't lose the character completely in the flames. And then if I hit M on the keyboard, I can get rid of that first mask, and then I can hit F to bring up the feather, and I can just add a feather to that so that some of my features still come through. Now what I can do after that is go to my project and add in a background. I've just got a free stock image from Pexels. I can scale that back slightly so that we have a scene similar to this. So this is hopefully giving you some inspiration and some ideas as to what you can build for your special effect videos and projects. Hey guys, Future Kai here. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the little bell for notifications. And now that you've watched this video, watch my other video that I had to repackage from Skillshare, my top 5 tips on how to do beginner photography, or watch this other video that YouTube recommends you watch. In the meantime, stay creative, stay safe, imagine, implement, and inspire. And I'll see you next time on KaiCreative.